This is a major choice for our country of historic proportions. Sometimes we do something right. The creation of NATO, the Louisiana Purchase, Thomas Jefferson did the right thing there, the purchase of Alaska. These were all extremely controversial choices, but they made a difference for our country. This is such a choice. If we should happen to give in to the politics of fear and make the wrong choice, the consequences would be catastrophic. If we make the right choice, we have a chance to encourage Mexico to continue on the path they have been traveling.
Ross is not saying he wants the status quo. He wants a different treaty. Am I correct?
He wants to raise tariffs on Mexico.
Just a second. Let's look at reality as opposed to theory.
And then we'll take our first call. Go ahead.
Let's look at reality instead of theory. There's a major U.S. chemical plant in Mexico that digs holes in the ground, dumps the chemical waste in those holes, bulldozes over those holes, and contaminates the water supply for the people in that area. A disproportionate number of the babies born in the shanty town around that plant are born without a brain. Now, I don't care if you're poor or rich. If your baby is born without a brain because a U.S. company is willing to take advantage of workers to that extent, that's wrong. Now, if there's any question about it, the xylene, the chemical xylene, in the water content in a ditch coming out of that plant is 53,000 times the amount permitted in the United States. This outfit, big Democratic group, backing the Democratic Party. Here's the videotape. It shows them digging the holes, putting the chemicals in the ground. It shows one child whose foot is horribly burned from chemicals, and it shows the classic worker abuse. I pass it on to the Vice President.
Yeah, thank you. I agree.
Because I know he cares. I'm not trying to play gotcha with you.
I agree with you on this.
I know you care deeply about these things.
Yeah, can I answer
I
you?
know you're a good man, but the laws are on the books. They're not enforced.
And NAFTA would what? Change them, not change them?
Well, they have this little side agreement, but the facts are Mexico is so sensitive about its sovereignty. They're not about to let us go down there and get into the middle of their... The Rio Grande River. All right, folks, Rio Grande River is the most polluted river in the Western Hemisphere.
Let him respond.
Tijuana River is the most... They've had to close...
But all this is without NAFTA, right?
Yeah, let me respond to this if I could, would you?
This is after years of U.S. companies going to Mexico, living free...
But they could do that without NAFTA.
But we can stop that without NAFTA, and we can stop that with a good NAFTA.
How do you stop that without NAFTA?
Just cut that out, pass a few simple laws on this, just make it very, very clear.
Simple laws on Mexico?
No.
How do you stop it without NAFTA?
Give me your whole mind.
Yeah, I'm listening. Okay. I haven't heard the answer, but go ahead.
That's because you haven't quit talking.
Well, I'm listening. How do you stop it without NAFTA?
Okay. Are you going to listen? Work on it. Now, very simple. Just tell every company south of the border if they operate that way, they cannot ship their goods into the U.S. at any price, period, and they will become choir boys overnight. See, Mexico is a country that can't buy anything. Japan, everybody else in the world is going to flood into Mexico if NAFTA is passed, so that they can get cheap labor from the U.S. market.
I got to get a break
and have no pollution or environmental.
When we come back, I want to respond to this.
Then we'll go to your phone calls on Larry King Live. We'll be right back.
Give me a chance to respond to this.
Okay, if we keep responding, we're never going to get some calls. But I'll have the Vice President respond on the Stefan chemical, and then quickly to calls. Quick.
Oh, thank you. Well, if we defeat NAFTA, we'll lose all leverage over the enforcement of Mexico's environmental laws. With NAFTA,
Ross says we just passed a law to...
Well, that wouldn't affect Mexican companies or the investments from other countries, but the problem has been not so much their laws, but the enforcement of their laws. We probably can agree on that. This side agreement that we negotiated gives us the ability to use trade sanctions to compel the enforcement of their environmental laws.
Let me get some calls in.
It's a major step forward.
By the way, I must tell our audience that we're keeping kind of scores so we're fair. We always try to be fair. And each party has had equal time right to this minute in talking. We go to Washington, D.C. as we begin phone calls. Hello.
Hello. My question is for Mr. Perot.
Yes.
How can the United States expect to compete on a long-term basis in an increasingly interdependent economic world while Europe and the PAC Rim nations unite through their own respective trade alignments?
Very simple. We got the most productive workforce in the world. We're the biggest buyer of goods and services in the world. We're the market everybody wants to sell to. Our problem is we do the world's dumbest trade agreements. You go back to the agreements we've done all over the world, you'd be amazed that adults did them. We're about to do another one, but the American people have stopped it. It's dead in the House of Representatives. It's time we draw a line in the sand, and we've done it. Now, here's the key. You want to buy and sell with people who have money. You want to trade with partners who have money, but then if you make a one-sided deal with Japan, they get all the benefits, we get all the problems. Then you come to Mexico. It's an emerging nation. You want to help it. You put in this tariff that as they raise the standard of living of their people, the tariff goes away. If anybody wants to do things like destroy people's lives by dumping chemicals and all that and polluting the Rio Grande River and destroying the Tijuana River and the beaches in San Diego and the life in San Diego pretty soon, you just say you can't ship your goods to the U.S. You can help Mexico and do it. No, you can't compete. Go put your primary effort with people who have money to spend. Then, because we want to help emerging nations, help nations like Mexico. But your primary effort has to be, and believe me, you say, does everybody want to do business with us more than anything else in the world? Because we buy a lot.
Please try to limit answers so we get a lot of calls in
quickly. Caller, could I?
Yeah.
Let me give you a quick example. Mattel just announced that if NAFTA is passed, it will move a plastics factory from Asia to Mexico. Instead of getting the plastic from China, it will get the plastic from the United States. With NAFTA, we will enlarge what is already the largest consumer market in the world with the addition of a country that buys 70% of all of its foreign products from the United States of America. It will position us to compete effectively with the rest of the world. That's why a lot of these other countries are a little nervous about it. One of the trade officials in Japan described this as sneaky protectionism and raised a lot of questions about it. It will benefit us in our trading relationship with Asia and Europe, and we're right now in the middle of the negotiations with the GATT, that's the larger world trade agreement. If we pass NAFTA, we'll be able to use the leverage to drop the barriers against our products in other
Fairview Heights, Illinois. Hello.
Hello, Larry. Vice President Gore. I understand the United States will spend $7 billion to clean up the pollution left by multinational companies in Mexico, much of it polluting our rivers. I would like to know why we're going to spend that money, and couldn't it be better spent here at home?
Well, Mexico will join in, so will the Inter-American Bank, and so will the polluters who have caused the problem. And we should clean up that pollution that Mr. Perot was talking about so eloquently earlier, whether we have NAFTA or not. With NAFTA, we will have the cooperation of Mexico and other countries in this hemisphere in doing that.
Aren't you? Sorry.
It will cost us several $billion in tariff losses. It will cost us at least $15 billion and probably more to build infrastructure. And we will have a $20 to $40 billion bill on pollution alone. Now, guess who's going to pay that? All you hardworking taxpayers that still have jobs, go look in the mirror and ask yourselves why the government's policies have caused 4 out of 5 of you to have to lower your standard of living. Ask yourself why your government sent 2 million jobs to Asia alone, manufacturing jobs, in the 1980s. Now, you agree with that number?
All of that happened before NAFTA
2 million
and before we took office.
That's not the point. Is it a good number?
Oh, we've lost a lot of jobs to lousy trade deals in the past because they weren't fair.
Well,
they weren't fair.
That we've made lousy
Let me finish now. I'll let you. Thank you very much. I'll let you finish. I like that line. I appreciate that. The fact is that we have the opportunity with NAFTA to stop this kind of stuff. All of the problems that Mr. Perot talks about will be made worse if NAFTA is defeated. We have an opportunity to make all of them better if we pass NAFTA. Listen, Larry, the whole world is poised, waiting for America's response to Mexico's decision to say yes. We have knocked on their door for 20 years trying to get them to stop being protectionist.
Are you saying this embarrasses us if we...
Well, of course it does, but it's far more important than just embarrassment. It diminishes our ability, it would diminish our ability to open other markets overseas. The GATT round would probably not be completed if NAFTA were defeated.
I got an exact break here. We'll come right back. Half hour to go. We'll take your phone calls. Don't go away.